Shalom, shalom. Welcome, everybody. Boker Tov and happy Chanukah, Chanukah Sameach, all the way from Yerushalayim. It is a great honor to be able to learn together with you today. We talk about Erev Shabbat. It's very special that the first day of Chanukah falls out this year, 5781, on the day before Shabbat, Erev Shabbat. And that brings us towards another subject, which is also lighting candles, and that's the lighting of the Shabbat candles. In fact, tonight, first we light, not tonight, this afternoon, we light the menorah, the candles of the Chanukah before we light the Shabbat candles. And every day we're supposed to light the regular menorah candles. We're supposed to light the menorah at starting from sunset. You can light a little bit earlier, but it needs to light for at least a half hour after sunset. So today that we're going to light the menorah candles even before the Shabbat candles, so we have to make sure to light it with plenty of time. So in a regular city, not Jerusalem, in a regular city that we light Shabbat candles 18 minutes before sunset. So you have to make sure that there's enough oil in the menorah, or the candles are large enough to burn for the 18 minutes before the 18 minutes before sunset, and the sunset all the way till after it becomes night. So that's around almost 50 minutes, approximately. Over here in Jerusalem, that we have a custom that we light the Shabbat candles 40 minutes before sunset. So you have to make sure that it's enough time to light for at least 70 minutes. So it's better to, if you have oil, just fill up the cup. There's a small little glasses, and to make sure there's enough oil. So when we talk about the candles of the candles of Chanukah and the candles of Shabbat, we have an interesting halacha law which is discussed in the Rambam and Maimonides, and he says this actually is discussed in the laws of Chanukah, and it says as follows: that if a person doesn't have enough money even for one candle of Chanukah or one candle of Shabbat, so which one would take precedence? No, what do you think? You can write into the comments into the notes of Facebook or from Zoom. I'm not sure what you wrote, but okay, welcome back, everybody. Long time no speak. And so I need to point out for a moment that you might ask, why is there only one candle for Shabbat? And the answer is that the mitzvah itself of lighting the Shabbat candles is one candle. If a woman is married, then it's a good idea to light two candles, and then for every child that a person has, to light one additional candle before Shabbat. Also, as far as Chanukah is concerned, if you look at the bare minimum halacha, the bare minimum of lighting a candle every night of Chanukah is one candle per household. Now, if everybody, if everybody can light one candle, then that's even better. But if everybody can light every night an additional candle, tonight or today before Shabbos we do 2, tomorrow night after Shabbos we do 3, and so on and so forth, that's called mahadrin, mina mahadrin. It's the best way to do the mitzvah. But it's important to know that the bare minimum of the mitzvah is one candle. Baruch Hashem. I like the thumbs up. Whoever is doing that, Yasher Koach. Okay, so the bottom line of what we've set up until now is that if a person has enough money just for one candle, and they're not sure if they should use it for Shabbat or for Chanukah, the Rambam rules that it should be used for Shabbat, for the candle of Shabbat. And this is a point that I want to try to explain based on an amazing talk that the Rebbe gave. If we're to look into the two mitzvot of Chanukah and Shabbat, so it's as follows. The mitzvah of Shabbat, why do we have that mitzvah? In order to bring peace. Because if people are going to, in the olden days there wasn't electricity, there wasn't electricity, and it was dark, and if people would step over stuff, and you couldn't light a candle, so there would be fights or disagreements. What are you doing? Well, look where you're going, or whatever. But when you have a candle for Shabbat, and the main reason is to have it where people eat, that's the main objective. So there we were able to bring more peace. The purpose of the candle of Chanukah is to remember primarily the miracle of finding the Pach Hashem and the jug of oil that was uncontaminated, and they were able to light the menorah. The next miracle was that the menorah was lit miraculously, not only for one day, but that oil sufficed for 8 days, for an additional 7 days. And so the Rambam points out an interesting point. He says two things. First of all, he says that by the mitzvah, by the scenario, perhaps better said, of sota, of a woman that goes into a private area, that with a married woman that goes in with another male, and to bring an offering, and they write on a piece of parchment, and it has Hashem's name in that portion, and they put it into water mixed with different herbs, and then Hashem. And so we were in the middle of saying about the story of the Sota, that Hashem says, it's worth it to erase my name in order to bring peace between husband and wife. In other words, Hashem's name, can you imagine that they're putting the parchment into the water, and the parchment peels off, and we're not allowed to erase Hashem's name, God forbid. But Hashem says, I agree that my name should be erased to bring peace. Also, the Rambam mentions over there in the laws of Chanukah that the entire Torah was given in order to bring peace into the world. And so, if we were to say an interesting difference between the candle of Shabbat and the candle of Chanukah. The candle of Chanukah is to remind us, as the Rambam says in the laws of Chanukah, about how there were terrible decrees upon Am Yisrael, unfortunately, and we were able to overcome over all of those decrees that were against Hashem and Am Yisrael. So that is almost like, we won the war, and that's like the famous joke that they hated us, we overcame them, and we celebrate. All Jewish holidays are the same. So the idea of Chanukah primarily is to get rid of the bad and to shun down the negativity, the decrees. The idea of Shabbat is la'asot shalom ben ish le'ishto, to bring peace between husband and wife. So they're both idea of peace. But when you have a positive idea of peace, that overrides a negative idea of peace. Bringing more peace, bringing more light into the world, that's the primary purpose of lighting Shabbat candles. That overrides the other idea of lighting the Chanukah candles, which is in order to remind us that we overcame the darkness. If, God forbid, for example, there's a disagreement between two individuals, let alone a fight. So there are two issues that are here. The one issue is that there is something which, in other words, if we want to bring peace between two parties, between two individuals, between two entities, so first of all, we have sur meira. First, we have to take out the bad. We have to weed out the negativity, because very often when two individuals have an argument, it's not so much about the detail itself that they're arguing about. That's only like a side issue. That's not the real issue. The real issue is they might have some hard feelings against the other, and that's the main issue. So you have to get rid of that. The moment that you get rid of the feeling, which is usually based on a very minor issue, sometimes even almost nothing, just something that someone dreamt up about someone else, then you're pretty much on the derech hamelech. You're on the way on the royal path. I remember several years ago, I tried to help two individuals make peace between themselves. And it became clear, surprisingly, that the whole root, the whole source of the problem, of the conflict, was totally without any substance. One party accused the other party of encouraging someone to do something, and that person, it turned out that it wasn't even a problem, and all I had to do was to make a few phone calls, and I realized, and they told me this is the best day for me in my life, that you clarified for me what I didn't know. And I thought to myself, come on, you could have saved yourself years of real hard conflict with this other individual. And so I learned that you have to first of all get the root of the problem out of the way. And that's the first step with talking shalom and talking in terms of making peace. But then you have another issue. You have to add light. You have to bring good energy. So for example, if you have a husband and wife, and if God forbid one person unintentionally offended the other, and you say, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, which is a very mature thing to do, that the sorry gets the negativity out of the way. But then when you bring your spouse flowers or a gift, then that brings good energy. That's the other part of making peace. That's the other part of Shalom Bayit, of making peace. So when we have talking about lighting Shabbat candles, candle light in general is something which is nice, something which is warm, light, it brings warmth. And both the Shabbat candles and the Chanukah candles both represent this idea. But if we zoom in a little bit, we'll realize that the Chanukah is more getting rid of the bad, and Shabbat is more bringing the positive energy. So, getting back to the basic halacha, which is probably less common, hopefully, that if someone doesn't have enough money for 2 candles, then what do you do first? It's halacha. And if it's part of Torah, we have to learn it. But perhaps deeper than the technical halacha, if you will, is the meaning, the energy of the halacha, the deeper insight to the halacha. And the deeper insight is that both of these are bringing shalom, bringing peace. And if you have an opportunity to bring peace, and what is perhaps the most important is bringing good energy. If you're able to do both, to get the bad energy out of the way, and also to bring to appease the other one, that's great. But if a person doesn't have enough time, or the situation doesn't allow for both, then at least to focus on the positive, like the halacha is that first comes Shalom Bayit, first comes the candle of Shabbat, and then comes if you're able to, then you light also the candle of Chanukah. So hopefully this is a very strong message for Shabbat Chanukah, which we're going to light this evening before Shabbat. We're going to light first the Chanukah candles and then the Shabbat candle. And Bezrat Hashem, we should have lots of peace in our homes, in our community, in Am Yisrael, and in the entire world. Because Kol Torah nitna lasot shalom ba'olam. Torah was given in order to bring peace to the world. As we say when the Torah is lifted, we recite the verse, Rechavia darchei noam v'chol netivotah shalom. The ways of Torah are peaceful, are pleasant, and all of its paths are peaceful. And so, Bezrat Hashem, that this message of Shabbat and also of Chanukah should not only finish by this Chanukah, but it should continue throughout the year and throughout the our entire lifetime. May Mashiach come immediately. And we look forward to seeing you tonight for Mincha and tomorrow for Shacharit. Shabbos Chanukah, special davening. Please join us. Thank you very much. Have a happy Chanukah and an Erev Shabbat Shalom.